Also a very warm welcome from my side. I'm really happy that you all join to inform yourself about the BAG notification and the solutions we provide to comply with this regulatory requirement. With this, I already like to start with the regulatory requirements before then taking a look at our software solution and the specific details that we have to look at when we talk about the UFI in Switzerland. So the regulatory requirement in Switzerland is the Chemicals Ordinance, Article 48 to 54. And in the Chemical Ordinance, it's specified that producers or importers of chemicals in Switzerland need to provide information to the Federal Office of Public Health. In German, it's the Bundesamt für Gesundheit, or short BAG. This is also the reason why we always talk about the BAG notification. And chemical mixtures or existing substances need to be reported within 3 months after placement on the market. The data that is notified is used by Toxinfo Swiss. This is the Swiss Poison Center that's providing emergency response in case of a poisoning or exposure to chemicals. And the authorities also provide a public register for chemicals that's accessible by the broader public, where they provide basic information about the notifications like submitted details, the hazard classification, and so on. So the public can do a bit of research for these chemicals. And the product register is the basis also for the enforcement of the Chemical Act for local authorities. If we take a look on the data requirements for chemical mixtures, or as the Swiss call it, preparations, we have provided an excerpt of the information that's required in an XML notification to the BAG. Just like to mention a few here, a few that kind of are in sync with the Poison Center's notification requirements, and a few that are specific to the Swiss regulation. So if we're talking about product notifications, we obviously have to provide details about the product, for example, the trade name, product ID, and what's new within the BAG notification, the UFI starting 1st of January 2022, as Markus already mentioned on the slide with the deadlines. The notification needs to be done for preparations, and you also need to specify the intended use. In Switzerland, we distinguish between public and professional use. With the Poison Center's notifications, it's a bit different. There you have public use, professional use, and industrial use. So in Switzerland, the professional use is kind of a mix of the Poison Center's professional use as well as the industrial use combined. You also have to indicate a few chemical, physical properties like the state of matter, for example, and need to provide descriptors, for example, if it's a nanomaterial, PBT, VPVB, or SVHC. What's specific to the Swiss regulation, in addition to the descriptors, is that for products that are hazardous to the environment, you also need to provide information about the quantity of the product placed on the market in the year. So it's 4 different thresholds, either below 1 ton, between 1 and 10 tons, 10 to 100, or above 100 tons. So the Swiss regulation not only applies to physical or health hazards, but also to hazards for the environment. However, for preparations that are only hazardous for the environment, no UFI is required by the regulation. You also need to indicate if substances are declared on the label. This needs to be flagged in the notification, and the classification and labeling information also needs to be provided. if something is not classified or doesn't have a hazard symbol, this needs to explicitly be stated in the notification. And regards the composition information that's provided to the BAG, there's a difference between the information that needs to be submitted for public use products and professional use products. So if you have a public use, all components need to be provided. So this is the extended registration application. For professional use products, only the hazardous components, according to the safety data sheet chapter 3, need to be notified to the Swiss BAG. For component identification, it's similar and also slightly different than for the poison centers notification. So the quantity, concentration of the components in the mixture needs to be indicated, and you also need to provide proper identification. This means you need to provide an EC or CAS number as well as the substance name. And there's this specific part in the Swiss regulation or in the Swiss BAG database that they kind of have their own identifiers, numbers for substance and preparation identification. This is called the PAID, PAID, and CPID. The CPID is used for preparations. This is an ID that the Swiss BAG generates and provides for each preparation submitted to the BAG, and the PAID is generated and provided for substances. The classification and function also needs to be provided. This is specific to the BAG regulation, the function part here. And this is the excerpt of the regulation, what you need to provide on a substance, compositional, and general level. A bit more specifics about the UFI requirement in Switzerland. So the BAG released a new user manual and updated their notification tools that allow notification of preparations to the BAG. They have kind of this online version where you can manually add data and do the notification directly in the portal. And they also have a mass registration interface and a notification format that you can use to generate notifications out of the Swiss BAG portal, like in your industry SAP systems, for example. And this new user manual was released in March, and now they fully support the UFI within the mass notification. And we plan to support the UFI with our next EPN release, as Markus already specified, that we will provide end of July. So that's it for an overview of the regulatory requirements. Let's see if we have any questions. I have a question. If we send a presentation, yes, we will provide a presentation. What are substances declared on the label? Are those part of the ingredient list mentioned in the detergent regulation on the substances which trigger the CLP classification and need to be labeled according to CLP regulation? So substances, as far as I understand the regulation, declared on the label are usually the hazardous ingredients, and that's what we use within our software. So if you create a notification with opesus EPN for the BAG, then we will use the hazardous ingredients We use the hazardous ingredients to create the notification. I think someone's not on mute. Let's see. All right. I hope this answers the question. And the next question would be, will the will the BAG XML creation implement in the new version of EHN product notification delivered to current customers? Yes, it is part of EPN. However, you need a separate license for it. So we support the UFI additional features we present today, but it's not part of your existing Poison Centers notification license. You need a separate license for the BAG notification. And a last question, what is the interpretation of public use for Switzerland, having in mind the specifics of this interpretation in Europe? So public use in Switzerland is the same as public use for the Poison Centers notification, meaning if you distribute, place on the market products intended for consumer use, this is considered public use by the Swiss BAG. And maybe one last question before moving on to the next topic. We can then also tackle the questions not answered yet in the Q&A session or after the webinar. Is it possible to identify a MIM with the corresponding CP ID? Yes, this is possible. This is exactly how the BAG intends to use the CP ID in case of mixture and mixture notifications. All right. So next, I'd like to provide an overview of the opesus EHS product notification, about the general process and a few fun facts before talking about synchronizing EU and Swiss products using the EU UFI in Switzerland. So as probably most of you know, opesus EPN is the market leading software solution for product notifications with SAP. We have very strong technical and subject matter expertise, linking all the relevant stakeholders like the authorities, industry, and IT. We did that with the Poison Centers notification, also with the BAG notification. We exchange a lot with the authorities, discuss with them, and listen to industry requirements to implement great fitting solution and provide a great working software solution for you. And that's the reason why we are currently the market leading solution with more than 102 customers live. Having so much customers live or currently implementing, it's really interesting to see what that means in numbers. So this the fun fact I talked about. So as of June 2021, ECHA let the public know that they received 1 million successful Poison Centers notifications, and we checked with a couple of our customers, and actually most of these notifications were created and submitted with opesus EPN. This means more than 500,000 notifications were created with our software, and this is more notifications than with all other channels combined. So you see, that's really successful. We're really thankful for all the customers that decided for our software, and we look forward to support notification requirements like the BAG notification or potentially other future notification formats. With our software, we cover the whole end-to-end process of product notifications. The one or the other of you may remember this picture from the Poison Centers notification process, and that's actually also the beauty of our software, because for the BAG notification, the process is very similar. There are a few BAG specifics. As I already mentioned, BAG has slightly different data requirements, but in general, the process is the same as for the Poison Centers notification. So if you already know the process from PCN, I think you will get along very well with the BAG notification. So we start with the data maintenance and have everything integrated in your SAP system, like the generation of the XML notification. Then we also support the data transmission. Unfortunately for BAG, it's not as easy as for the poison centers notification, because they don't provide a direct system-to-system interface, which means there are a few additional clicks, but we found very sleek solutions to ease the data transmission as well as the notification management for end users. And obviously it's the same benefits as for the poison centers notification, that everything is inside your SAP system. You have a lot of ready-to-use customizing that fits your needs, and also the high flexibility that you already know. So you can do customer-specific enhancements without modification of the software and still benefit from the notification updates, the software updates, not the notification updates. The next agenda topic would be to have a closer look at how you can synchronize products within the EU and Switzerland using the EU UFI or new UFIs. Before we take a closer look at the detailed process, how submission of the notification to the Swiss BAG, including the UFI, looks in general. Let's see if there are any questions already. All right. I have a question. If what I specified manually, if this means that S2S is not available for the Swiss BAG, yes, this is exactly what it means. S2S is not provided by the Swiss authorities, so they don't provide a system-to-system API that you can use to directly submit notifications. We will get to more details in the 6th agenda topic. So we have found a way how you can still manage notifications quite easily. And I think when we look at the process and the more specific details, how the whole BAG notification works, it will be a bit clearer in the next slides. If you still have a question after that, please raise it again. Then the next question, did I understand correctly? A hazardous mixture is subject to notification since 1st of 1st 2020, but from 1st of 1st 2022, and UFI will be included in the notification data requirements. No. So the deadline for the UFI requirement is correct. So from the 1st of 1st January 2022, the UFI needs to be provided and is an additional data requirement. The notification obligation, according to the Swiss Chemicals Ordinance and the Swiss regulation, is already around for a couple of years. I would have to look up the exact date when they applied it. I think it's around 2016 or even before. So already for a couple of years, you have the notification requirement of chemical preparations, hazardous for health or physical hazards, or environmentally hazardous, that need to be provided to the BAG. So the notification requirement in general is already around for quite a few years. And now in a harmonization effort, the Swiss BAG introduced also the UFI for easy identification of chemical preparations. All right, I just need to check if we have more questions. All right, and we also have a question to the topic before. I'll just take this one before moving on. So for the substance identification, both CAS and EC numbers are mentioned in the regulatory requirements, or is the EC number sufficient? As soon as you have one number, one identifier, I think it is sufficient, but to be 100% sure, I would have to check the regulation again. All right, and the last question to the topic of the whole process and to S2S. If the S2S communication is not provided by the Swiss authority, how is the status of the notification updated in the notification tool? We will get to that in the last agenda topic, managing notifications with an automatic status update. So it's an automatic process that requires slight user interaction. But I will specify in greater detail in the last agenda topic. All right, so next we're going to take a look at synchronizing the EU and Swiss products using the UFI in Switzerland. So in a harmonization and simplification effort, the Swiss BAG allows submission of UFIs created within European Economic Area WET ID or an ECHA company key. So this means that you can use one single UFI for one product placed on the market in the EEA as well as Switzerland. The BAG provides their own UFI generator that allows creation of UFIs with a Swiss WET ID for products exclusively sold in Switzerland, or companies that are not able to create a company key or don't have a EEA WET ID. This means you have a market placement of a product with one specific UFI in the EEA, and you can use the same UFI in Switzerland. Within our software, you can use the EPN product determination for UFI creation. So this means we streamlined the product determination for EEA products as well as Switzerland. And in that way, it's possible to identify all the products linked to the selected specification and generate UFIs for those products. So within our software, we have the product maintenance here. And if you select the product maintenance, then UFIs are created for the corresponding products, provided that you have a valid composition maintained. But yeah, that's basically it. Regarding streamlining the notification process, this means that you determine the poison centers notification products and then assign UFIs for these poison center notifications products. If you already assigned these UFIs, then we copy them over to the BAG products for the BAG notification. So we either create or update the products. If you have BAG only products, so products that are only sold in Switzerland that are not relevant for the poison centers notification, you can determine them optionally and then also generate UFIs for these Swiss only products. I've provided a few examples down here. The example is by table line. So if you have, for example, no poison centers notification products and no existing BAG products, then you will simply determine new PCN products, like product 1, which consists of different materials that are grouped together, and one specific UFI is here created for it. And after that, we check if the products are also relevant for BAG. And if you already have the PCN products, then we just take the information over and you get the same UFI for the Swiss product. In the second table line, we have the example that you already have a poison centers notification product, but no corresponding BHG product for it. So if you run the product determination, no new product will be created for PCN because the existing product stays the same. You already have the information already. You don't have information about BHG products. So if you run the BHG product determination, it will take over the information from the existing PCN product, and you will be able to notify the same UFI to the Swiss authorities. So this will really ease your labeling and notification management UFI tracking efforts. In the third line, we have an example for in Swiss only products. We have no existing products. The product is also not relevant for the BHG notification. So if you run the poison centers notification product determination, nothing happens. If you run the BHG notification creation, then you get a new UFI for the third product here, and this can be notified in Switzerland. If you have existing BHG products, this is interesting for all customers already using the BHG notification, and need to add the UFI now. So if you have an existing BHG product with no UFI or a different UFI, and then create the poison centers notification product with an UFI, this information will be taken over to the BHG product, which also allows streamlining the UFI notification creation for the BHG and the PCN products. So you have the same UFI here again. All right, so this is the approach how we plan to synchronize the EU and Swiss products. So we basically take over UFIs from the EU products, allow creation of Swiss only UFIs, and always update UFIs accordingly, so you have the same in Switzerland and the EU if you sell products in both countries. Let's see if there are any questions. All right, I have a question from a customer that already notified to the ACA Poison Centers notification portal, and the question is if the notification needs to be done again, or do the products get synced up for BHG? So if you already notified for the Poison Centers notification, we're here in the second case. So you already have existing PCN products with an existing UFI, and in this case, the products get synced for the BHG notification. So you get the same UFI for the same BHG product. But note that this doesn't mean you don't have to submit the data to the BHG. So because this is kind of in the different authorities portals, so you still have to create a BHG notification and provide it to the authorities. Then I have a question about the properties for storing the UFI in Switzerland and the EU. So we will use the same structures as for the Poison Centers notification, meaning if you use our product determination for UFI creation, store UFIs on product level, we will store the UFIs in the same tables as we do for the Poison Centers notification, and link to the corresponding products as we already do. All right. Then let's see. And We have a question for the environmental hazards. I said mixtures classified for environmental hazards are not in scope, but among the data requirements, we have the thresholds for market placement of the product. So products for environmental hazards are in scope of the Swiss regulation. However, they are not in scope of the UFI requirement, because the UFI is intended for emergency response and easy identification of preparations in case of an emergency by the poison center. That's the reason why for environmental hazard products only, the UFI is not required. But it's still required to submit notifications for these environmental hazardous preparations to the Swiss BAG. Then we have a last question. If the BAG charges any fees for the notification? No, the BAG doesn't charge any fees for the notification, neither for the initial notification nor for the update of notifications. With this, I'd like to move on to the notification of the new Swiss BAG format, including the UFI. So you can see a screenshot here of a XML submitted to the Swiss BAG, and you see as part of the formulation in the notification file, we have the UFI here. And if you take a look at the notification in the Swiss BAG portal, you can see that the same UFI is displayed here. So it will be taken over from the XML notification file to the Swiss BAG portal. From a process point of view, we first have the data maintenance that we support with various tools. So you already learned that for the BAG notification, there are specific data requirements that are not part of the poison centers notification. This is the reason why we provide a BAG specific property tree as for the poison centers notification. Also to provide a property tree there and have specific properties and phrases. We also have the UFI generator as part of the BAG format and the product determination that allows you to create UFIs and determine the products for UFI creation and notification. And this is both streamlined with the poison centers notification as explained in the topic before. Then you can create notifications either manually or automatically from the specification workbench manually by selecting the product notifications button, or leverage the process automation to create notifications with different triggers in the background, and then for example use the word list or configure it in a way that the notifications are automatically released and available for download. If you create notifications, we also have data validations in place, so very similar to the poison centers notification. You can always check the log. We check if the required data is there, also throw error messages if something isn't right. So it's easily possible for you to check the data in the specification workbench and do necessary changes if required. And this is already part of our software. So within EPN in your SAP system, so this prevents a lot of errors when trying to upload notification files to the Swiss BAG, because then it's very tiresome to get back into your SAP system, check for the specifications, check the import errors from the Swiss BAG portal, and then correct the data there. And regards submission and submission management, you can create a mass notification file. This means for several products, you can create one notification file and then upload this via the Massenmeldung. So this means mass notification in English to the Swiss BAG portal. And afterwards, you can maintain the status as well as the notification key, the CP ID that's provided by the Swiss BAG in your SAP system. And we already had a question about status management and upload of notifications to the BAG portal, and we will take a closer look at these topics in the last agenda point. So let's see if we have any questions in between. Yeah, we have one more question about the EU UFI. If this one, as the EU UFI is accepted by the BAG, but not vice versa, is the new opesus tool based on EU UFIs linked to the ECHA UFI generator? So yeah, in the default implementation, we support UFI creation with one VAT ID or one company key. So in the default, if you also submit poison centers notifications and need to create EEA UFIs, the tool will be set up in a way that you create EEA UFIs and just reuse them for your Swiss products. We also have the possibility to do a customer-specific enhancement as part of your implementation and do the UFI determination in a customer-specific way. And there it would also be possible to generate Swiss-only UFIs and determine Swiss-only products if this is necessary. However, trying to streamline and ease the notification creation data maintenance process as much as possible. I think it's easiest if you have poison centers notification products that you need to submit in the EEA to just use an EEA VAT ID or company key and create UFIs with this parameter also for Switzerland, because it's no issue for the Swiss authorities to accept EEA UFIs, but the other way around, you would have problems if you have products with an Swiss UFI, let's phrase it that way, that you like to submit then and place on the market in the EEA. All right. So then we have another question. Let's see. All right. Can the tool be used for Swiss biocidal submissions? Is it possible to change the dossier manually after uploading the XML within the Massenmelde tool? I would have to check and verify in detail. I think for the biocidal notifications, we have properties available where you can maintain the data, and for the Massenmelde tool manual changes, I really have to check. Or maybe Markus knows something about it.
Yeah, I can quickly answer that. Thank you, David. All the notifications you do via the Massenmelde tool or via the upload then can be changed in the RPC database. You just log into the RPC and you can edit whatever you have transferred there before as well. But obviously, we typically recommend to do all the changes in your source system and in your SAP system, and then move them over via the import of the files. The exception is if there are a few fields that are not available yet in the XML, that we then say, okay, this is the only way you maintain that data is then to log into the portal and add those data fields that are not yet provided.
Great, thank you. And yeah, another question is if the Swiss BAG notification format will adopt the EU notification format by ECHA, if it's streamlining the UFI requirements. No, this is currently not planned as far as we know. So the BAG notification format is different from the poison centers notification format. It's not based on Euclid, it's the BAG's own notification format, and you need to use this, if you like, to leverage the mass notification provided by the Swiss BAG. All right. And also a question, what happens for notifications if you do not have 100% composition or filler materials without an identifier such as the CAS or EC number? I think you need to provide the 100% composition. There's a few specifics where you can leave non-hazardous components out of the composition below a certain threshold, and also use a generic identifier for perfumes. Yeah, but usually for the public use products, you need to provide the full composition, and there's not as much room to spare as within the poison centers notification. And a question again to the about the S2S connection, if it's possible to use the same channel for BAG as for the poison centers notification. As the BAG doesn't provide an S2S RP, it's not possible to use the same channel. And this is the perfect introduction for our last agenda topic, managing notifications with automatic status updates via product file upload in EPN. So if it is not possible to use an S2S API because the Swiss authorities don't provide such a connection to industry systems, how is it then easily possible to maintain the status, submit the files to the Swiss authorities? So first of all, the notification of products is possible with a mass notification file. This means that you can create one notification file for multiple products at once. So you can just select a list of specifications, create the notifications for it, and you will only have one notification file that you upload to the Swiss BAG. So from a file handling perspective, it's a lot easier as for the poison centers notification, where you have one notification file for each specification. After the upload and submission to the Swiss RPC, this is the submission portal provided by the BAG, you have to maintain the CP ID and notification status that is provided by the BAG. Usually a user would have to do this manually, and the reason is that there's no S2S connection available. So you somehow have to get the data from the Swiss portal into your SAP system. And with EPN version 4.2, we will provide functionality for mass maintenance of the notification status and CP ID. So this means you can download a list of all notified products from the Swiss RPC portal, and then you get such an Excel file as displayed in the screenshot here. We have the CP IDs, you have the primary keys of the products, product names, and so on. And you can use this Excel file then to mass maintain the notification status and the CP ID in your SAP system. And we will provide this mass data maintenance for BAG users. So you can just select a notification type, then specify the update scenario. So if product should either be updated only matching the product key, and you can also flag a setting that all notifications where you don't have the product in the list provided by the RPC are set to error, because this would help you to synchronize the error management in your SAP system and the RPC portal in case of import errors. So if you receive an import error, then the notification will not be in the BAG portal. This is a bit different as with the poison centers notification. We still have the submission and get the error messages to it, within the BAG portal, you either have product successfully imported or not. And yeah, with this setting, you can really streamline the status management process. So you upload the Excel file, select the Excel file here, and upload it, use it for the mass data maintenance, and then the status and the notification keys for all successfully submitted notifications are automatically maintained in your SAP system. So if you are working with a list of specifications, like to create a couple of notifications at once and also need to maintain the status afterwards, it's possible for you to do that with 2 files. Basically, just have to select all the data in SAP, then create 1 notification file, upload it to the BAG, get 1 file back from the BAG, upload it in SAP, and you're set and done. So even without the S2S interface, I think we found a very nice possibility and process that eases the data maintenance and submission for users. And yeah, I think it's really valuable if you have to do BAG notifications to use such a process to streamline the notification data maintenance process and also track all the notifications directly in your SAP system. So with that, I think we can move on to the Q&A. First, I will check if we directly have some questions regards the managing of notifications with the automatic status update. And then we can move over the rest of the questions and see how much we can answer. All right. I have a question. In case of aerosols, does the composition has to be full, including gas, which evaporates when the product is applied, but just the substances without the gas? I think this is a very specific question. As far as I understand, the notification needs to be done for the preparation as it's placed on the market, which means
Yes.
also the evaporating components will be required for notification. And we have another question regarding maintenance of the CP ID. So the question is, first of all, it seems that the workaround with the mass notification management is very well appreciated. And the question is if it's still required to manually maintain the CP ID as an identifier at specification header level, or if this will no longer be necessary. I think this is usually done in case you want to submit mixture-in-mixture notifications, right, Markus?
Yes, that can be one scenario. Generally, when we upload now, we will set the CP ID not as identifier, but as the notification key. And so this is then automatically maintained. And if you need to use it also, the CP ID for a mixture-in-mixture scenario, that would still need to be maintained as an identifier, but actually I'll take that as an input, and we will evaluate if we may even can enhance the import in the future to also maintain the identifier. It depends a little bit on the concrete use case you have here. If it is just to provide a seamless update process, you don't need to maintain the identifier anymore. That is good enough if the CP ID is imported into the external key.
We have another question. If there are any authenticators when a notification needs to be updated, are there reasons for update notifications different for EU and BAG? So if you use the process automation, you kind of will be notified by notification updates because they are fed to the work list. The notification requirements for update notification, I think for the BAG, it states that all changes to the preparation or all changes to information notified to the Swiss BAG needs to be provided within 3 months as soon as the change occurs. In the new Swiss guidance for preparation notifications in Switzerland, there are a few examples stated how the BAG will handle such cases, especially regards compositional changes. And there it's stated that they kind of streamline the changes considered requiring an update with the CAP regulations, Article 45, Annex 8, so as with the poison centers notification. For the rest of the information, as soon as something changes that's notified to the BAG, you need to provide an update.
Yeah, and maybe I can add to that, as the situation here in the legislation is pretty clear. Any change will require an update. We have exactly used that as a guidance to implement the change. So we will compare the content of the previous notification with the content of your current notification. And if there is any difference, we will indicate that an update is required. So there will be a significant change when there is a significant difference between BAG and PCN. And as soon as the legislation is changing in Switzerland, we obviously will revisit that and may adapt that accordingly. And this is maybe also an interesting point. Currently, the Swiss legislation process is ongoing, and they are planning to change the chemical ordinance. And anyone can comment. The deadline is actually end of this week on Friday. And we also, as opesus, will comment on the Swiss legislation. In particular, we are very much interested in that the requirements around the components are being aligned better, because especially when we are now reporting the UFI, and the UFI is based on the composition, and the rules for the compositions are different, that is not good. That doesn't make too much sense. So we are lobbying here for a very strong alignment between PCN and BAG. But currently, there are those differences, and we have to obviously address them.
Thank you, Markus, for adding a bit more information to this question. And maybe a last one. Is the input data for PCN and BAG the same, and can existing mappings for PCN be reproduced for BAG, or do they need to be redone? The problem or the challenge for BAG, let's phrase it that way, is that the BAG uses other phrase codes in their system than ECHA uses. So this is the reason why you will have a different XML ID in your EPN customizing, and also your mapping entries for it, because even if it's the same hazard classification, the code on BAG side is a different code than on the poison centers notification side. All right, I think with that, we are 2 minutes before the end of the webinar. We can close the session. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us, and we're happy to schedule a meeting to discuss your requirements, and happy to help.